Hello, welcome to the channel. My name's Elizabeth. If you've not been here before, I am your friendly hillbilly host, and this is Hillbilly Crime. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We've got a ton of people already here. We've got a great show this evening. We are going to review the 2023 audit report from the state. And man, oh man, these are our elected officials, y'all, doing their best. Okay. Let everybody come on in. Come on in. Let me get us up here. All right. Everybody come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. So I got a hold of this document from one of our great little investigating diggers on the show. And I was just shocked going through this. Okay, so this is report of the audit of the Letcher County Fiscal Court for the year ended June 30th of 2023. This was, you see the Commonwealth of Kentucky seal here. Allison Ball, Auditor of Public Accounts. So this comes straight from the state. It gives the contents page. I might have to go back. Let me stop sharing this for a second and let me open it this other way, because when I opened it, it came up in Google Docs. So let me do it this way. Yes, okay. All right. There we go. It's a PDF. Okay. So it gives us the table of contents, independent auditor's report. So this is done supposedly by an independent department, which I think it probably is. I don't think they have any skin in the game, so to speak. Allison Ball, Auditor of Public Accounts. Opinions. Okay. To the people of Kentucky, the Honorable Andy Beshear, Governor Holly M. Johnson, Secretary, Finance and Administration Cabinet, the Honorable Terry Adams, Letcher County Judge Executive, and he's one. Now, Terry was also, I'm pretty sure, because I saw him in a lot of the older news reports when they would do them on the fiscal court. I think he was a magistrate before he became, before he ran for judge executive. And I want to get the proper definition for a judge executive, because a lot of people have no idea what that even is. Okay. So what states have judge executives? No, that's not what I want. What does a judge executive do in Kentucky? Okay. With fiscal court approval, the county judge executive has the authority to appoint, supervise, suspend, and remove county personnel. The judge executive must assure representation of the county on all boards, commissions, special districts, and multi-county programs in which the county must participate. And then the fiscal court, let me get the proper definition for a fiscal court. Okay. Let's see, a fiscal court in Kentucky. County fiscal court. Because that helps us to know what we're talking about, right? All right. A county fiscal court in Kentucky is the governing body and county legislature for each county in the state. The Kentucky Constitution of 1891 established the fiscal court, but it no longer handles judiciary proceedings. The fiscal court's responsibilities include setting policies and priorities. The fiscal court establishes the county's policies and priorities, county fiscal affairs. This includes the formulation of the county budget. That's what we're looking at tonight, y'all, is the money. Follow the money. It's always about the money. County services. The fiscal court is responsible for the delivery of county services. County purchasing and contracts. The fiscal court is responsible for county purchasing and the awarding of contracts. So that would be like, I guess, like for the roads and stuff like that. The fiscal court is made up of a county judge executive and county magistrates. So those are the magistrates that we are voting for on the ballot in your area. The magistrates are considered legislatures because they participate in legislative functions that shape county policies. They also represent the concerns of their district during fiscal court meetings. The fiscal court holds regular monthly terms, and the county judge executive can call special terms. The fiscal court is a court of record, and all of its official actions are permanently recorded in the county's records. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. That's what we're looking at here, okay? Let me see if I can. Give me just a second. Let me see if I can fix this and make it bigger. Hey, look there. I did it. All right. Okay. There. Now you guys can see it and read it along with me real well. All right. So to the people. Report on the audit of the financial statement. Opinions. We have audited the accompanying statement of receipts, disbursements, and changes in fund balances. Regulatory basis of the Letcher County Fiscal Court for the year ended June 30th, 2023, and the related notes to the financial statement, which collectively comprise the Letcher County Fiscal Court's financial statement as listed in the table of contents. Now, this is a very, very long document, so we're going to skip over some of it that just kind of, unless you all want to read the whole thing, let me know. Y'all tell me what we're doing here. Good evening, Lisa. Let's see. Christy says she's here for it. Good evening, y'all. Good evening. Yes, Tamma Lee, 79. Good deal. Oh, man, I just watched the police body cam video of Mickey being arrested and transporting him. Send that to me. Where's that at? The cops were laughing on the audio tape. Wow. Yep. NH Buddha Belly says, hey, NH, your body cam. Yeah, let us know where that body cam's at, because I want to see that too. All right. Long Crime Network. All right. Well, I'll be looking for that, and we'll show it when we find it. Okay. Read only the pertinent parts. All right. My sentiments exactly. All right. Unmodified opinion. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statement referred to above presents fairly in all material respects. The receipts regular. I think that's just kind of given us basis for opinions. We conducted our audit in accordance with auditing standards. Some of this is important. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities. We are required to be independent of Letcher County Fiscal Court and to meet our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with the relevant ethical requirements relating to our audit. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our audit opinions. All right. As described in note 1 of the financial statement, the financial statement is prepared by the Letcher County Fiscal Court on the basis of the accounting practices prescribed or permitted by the Department for Local Government to demonstrate compliance with the Commonwealth of Kentucky's regulatory basis of accounting and budget laws. All right. Responsibilities of management for the financial statement. Letcher County Fiscal Court. It's their responsibility to get this right. Now, if you've not seen any of my shows before, or if you've not heard me say it many times, I've said that a lot of our elections around here are popularity contests. No, you don't have to have any experience. You don't have to have any education. If you're a good campaign person and you can get out and talk to people, or if you've got the right friends who are supporting you, you're a shoo-in. And like I said, you don't have to have any experience. So if you have a whole bunch of people that are elected to a governing body who aren't very experienced or educated in the things that they're supposed to be responsible for, then you end up with situations like what we're looking at right here. Auditors' responsibilities for the audit. In performing an audit, they exercise, okay, so that's just, that right there is just telling us what their responsibilities are. Yeah. Our audit was conducted for the purpose of forming an opinion on the financial statement taken as a whole of the Letcher County Fiscal Court. The budgetary comparison schedules are presented for purposes of additional analysis and are not a required part of the financial statement. However, they are required to be presented in accordance with accounting practices prescribed. A lot of this stuff will make your head hurt. It did me last night when I was reading it. Okay, let me get down here. All right. Based on the results of our audit, we present the accompanying schedule of findings and questioned costs included herein, which discusses the following report findings. So these are the findings that they found. 1, the Letcher County Fiscal Court's financial statement was materially misstated. Number 2, the Letcher County Fiscal Court did not have adequate controls over processing and recording withholdings. Number 3, the Letcher County Fiscal Court lacks adequate segregation of duties over receipts and reconciliations. Number 4, the Letcher County Fiscal Court does not have strong internal controls over disbursements. Number 5, the Letcher County Fiscal Court does not have adequate procedures for reporting county liabilities. All right, now then it's got their signature. Okay. For the year ended June 30th, 2023, fiscal court members. We've got Terry Adams. He's the county judge executive. Jack Banks. He's a magistrate. Kenny Anderson. He's a magistrate. Deborah Collier. She's a magistrate. William Smith. Magistrate. Benny McCall. Magistrate. Sherry Sexton. Former magistrate. Maverick Cook. Former magistrate. Other elected officials. Oh, yeah. Jamie Hatton, county attorney. Bert Sloan, jailer. Winston Meade, county clerk. Mike Watts, circuit court clerk. Mickey Steins, sheriff. Ricky Rose, property valuation administrator. Perry Fowler, coroner. Appointed personnel, DJ Frazier, county treasurer. That's really important because the treasurer is the one who's responsible for the money, right? Ain't that what treasurer means? All right, Letcher County Statement of Receipts, Disbursements, and Changes in Fund Balances, Regulatory Basis. Now, this gives us their budgeted funds. Everybody see this? Let me see. Let me get over here and everybody's coming on in now. Hi, Mert. Miss Marnie's here. Allegedly Lisa. Thank you, our wonderful mods. Yes, let's see. Are you all excited to see this? Because it just blows me away. I didn't even get through it all last night. It was just, I had to go to bed. All right, taxes, general fund, $1,387 or $697, $387,697. I'm not really clear on the way that this is laid out. So we're just going to look at it real quick. I'm going to let you all look at it. It's got excess fees, licenses and permits, intergovernmental, charges for service, miscellaneous. Look there at miscellaneous in receipts for the general fund. Almost $2 million in miscellaneous. That's more than all the rest there. Interest, total receipts, disbursements, general government, protections to persons and property, general health and sanitation, social services, 18,000, recreation and culture. See, that's 410,000. Roads, 4 million, and that's on the road fund. And then they've got the jail fund. It explains it once we get down here at the bottom. It's really kind of hard to read it. And that's where there's so much room for fraud, waste, and abuse in these kinds of budgets. When you don't have people who are doing what they're supposed to be doing when it comes to it and know what they're supposed to be doing, I mean, who's looking, right? If you don't have anybody looking and you know that you're not going to get caught, you think there ain't going to be people with their hands in the cookie jar? I mean, that would be pretty naive to believe that it's not happening when they've developed. And this ain't just happening, y'all. In one of my videos that I did a long time ago, I found some news reports where they had went in and interviewed our previous judge executive, and he had stated on the news that they had given the sheriff's department over, either right at or over, $2.7 million over however many years. And he said he was done. He was done with it. He was not going to be given any more money to the sheriff's department when they were not managing their budgets appropriately, like, oh, who cares? 500,000's gone, not accounted for. We can't, but you're going to give it. Can you give it to us? Can you cover my butt? To the point of $2.7 million under Danny Webb. So these accounting practices have been going on for a very, very long time. And Letcher County's not the only one. We got an article here that we'll look at too for Leslie County, where Mickey Steins is being held. They have sent their report to other agencies, like investigative agencies now, because theirs was so out of whack. All right. Other adjustments to cash. Bond proceeds or financing obligation proceeds, payroll revolving account, health insurance account, transfers from other funds, transfers to other funds, total other adjustments to cash. Well, uses, those are some big numbers. That one under the road fund says almost $1.2 million. Net change in fund balance. And all we're looking at right now are the number parts. We're going to read next. Bank balance, payroll revolving account, deposits in transit, outstanding checks, fund balance. Letcher County statement of receipts, disbursements. Oh, that's just continued. And then here we've got budgeted funds. EK Safe Fund, COVID-19 Relief Fund, Forestry Fund, Flood Loan Fund, Senior Citizens Fund, Horse Trail Fund, Tourism Martin Van Bates Fund. And then, it's got little numbers there. But then you've got these here. So I don't know. See, I don't know what any of that means. The accompanying notes are an integral part of the financial statement. So this must be the financial statement that Letcher County's put together, that it's showing us. Budgeted funds, receipts. So you got Police Memorial Fund, Clerk Storage Fees Fund, miscellaneous, over $20,000 is listed. Disaster Relief Fund, only $12,000 in it. American Rescue Plan Act Fund. Let's see. Intergovernmental, is that the one? No. Charges for service. I can't tell which one of those two it is. Intergovernmental, it might be. Looks like. All right. General government, protections to persons and property, general health and sanitation, social services, recreation and culture, roads, debt service, capital projects, administration, total disbursements, adjustments to cash, uses, and it's got those big numbers there. Other adjustments to cash, composition of fund balance, and then we've got all that. All right, former City of Blackie Fund, Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund, National Opioids Settlement Fund, HMGP Buyout Fund, Jail Commissary Fund, a whole lot more money in that commissary fund. Total funds, $17,892,914. So see, with all these numbers in there, do you see how easy it is to fudge things and things get lost. All right, here's the index for the notes. Summary of significant accounting policies. All right. Reporting entity. The financial statement of Letcher County includes all budgeted and unbudgeted funds under the control of the Letcher County Fiscal Court. Budgeted funds included within the reporting entity are those funds presented in the county's approved annual budget and reported on the quarterly reports submitted to the Department for Local Government. Unbudgeted funds may include non-fiduciary financial activities, private purpose trust funds, and internal service funds that are within the county's control. Unbudgeted funds may also include any corporation to act for and on behalf of, and as the agency and instrumentality of the fiscal court in the acquisition and financing of any public project which may be undertaken by the fiscal court pursuant to the provisions of Kentucky law, and thus accomplish a public purpose of the fiscal court. The unbudgeted funds are not presented in the annual approved budget or in the quarterly reports submitted to the Department for Local Government. You see how this stuff is really kind of hard to follow? So if you don't understand any of this, how could anybody know if these people that we're electing are doing a good job or not? You don't. They just keep running, and we keep electing them because they have a nice smile and they call you honey, and they might be a great, nice person. All right. Basis of presentation. The general fund. The fiscal court reports the following budgeted funds. General fund, this is explaining what those titles were. This is the primary operating fund of the fiscal court. It accounts for all financial resources of the general government, except where the Department for Local Government requires a separate fund or where management requires that a separate fund be used for some function. The road fund. This fund is for road and bridge construction and repair. The primary sources of receipts for this fund are state payments for truck license distribution, municipal road aid, and transportation grants. The Department of Local Government requires the fiscal court to maintain these receipts and disbursements separately from the general fund. The jail fund. The primary purpose of this fund is to account for the jail expenses of the county. The primary sources of receipts for this fund are reimbursements from the state and federal governments, payments from other counties for housing prisoners, and transfers from the general fund. The Department for Local Government requires the fiscal court to maintain these receipts and disbursements separately from the general fund. Okay. Summary of significant accounting process policies. All right, and here it explains what those other titles were. Local Government Economic Assistance Fund. The primary purpose of this fund is to account for grants and related disbursements. The primary sources of receipts for this fund are grants from the state and federal governments. EK Safe Fund. The primary purpose of this fund is to account for grants and related disbursements. The primary source of receipts for this fund are grants from the state government. The COVID-19 Relief Fund. The primary purpose of this fund is to account for grants and related disbursements. The primary source of receipts for this fund are federal grants received under the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. Forestry Fund. It's to account for collection and disbursement of taxes related to forest fire protection. This is where all your tax money goes, y'all. So, kind of important. Flood Loan Fund. The primary purpose of this fund is to account for loan proceeds for flood disaster recovery and the related expenditures. Anytime there is a big natural disaster, fraud comes with it, because there's a lot of dishonest people in this world that will pretend to be somebody coming to help. The primary source of receipts for this fund are loan proceeds. Senior Citizens Fund. The primary purpose of this fund is to account for the senior citizens' expenses of the county. The primary sources of receipts and disbursements for this fund are state grants and transfers from the local government economic assistance fund. Horse Trail Fund. The primary purpose of this fund is to maintain the trail or reclaim the land to its natural state in the event the land would no longer be used as a horse trail. Tourism Martin Van Bates Fund. The primary purpose of this fund is to account for the receipts and disbursements of funds to be used to construct a statue of Martin Van Bates. Police Memorial Fund. The primary purpose of this is to account for the receipts and disbursements of funds to be used to construct a police memorial monument for fallen officers. And Clerk Storage Fees Fund. This is for the fees collected by the county clerk and remitted to the fiscal court. Disaster Relief Fund. This is to account for the donations received by the county in response to the July 2022 flood event and the corresponding disbursements. Follow the money, y'all. American Rescue Plan Act. This is for the funds provided by the federal government. The primary source is from federal monies. Former City of Blackie Fund. That is money dispersed by the fiscal court after the dissolution of the City of Blackie. Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund. This is for, of the local assistance and tribal consistency provided by the federal government. All right. Here's the National Opioid Settlement Fund. That's that big bunch of money that they've been given to the rehabs. They gave a big bunch to MCHC, HEAL. They gave it to HEAL, which is what Van Breeding runs, and Tim Robinson, who's the CEO of ARC. He's on the board or something. He's real big into it. It's all connected, all of it. All right. The primary purpose is to account for funds used to combat the county's opioid crisis. These monies are from the state as a result of the state's agreement with major opioid manufacturers and distributors. And then here's this buyout fund, and it's to account for multiple home buyout programs of the county. The primary source of receipts of this fund is federal grants. The Jail Commissary Fund. The canteen operations are authorized pursuant to this statute. The profits generated from the sale of items are to be used for the benefit and to enhance the well-being of the inmates or to enhance safety and security within the jail. The jailer is required to maintain accounting records and report annually to the county treasurer the receipts and disbursements of the jail commissary fund. All right. So annual budgets are adopted on a regulatory basis of accounting. According to the laws of Kentucky, as required by the state local finance officer, which is a basis of the accounting other than accounting principles generally accepted by the GAAP, as established by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. All right. The county judge executive is required to submit estimated receipts by May 1st of each year. The budget is prepared by fund, function, and activity and is required to be adopted by the fiscal court by July 1st. All right, let's get down here. Provides for and that just tells about the magistrates, I think. Letcher County elected officials, circuit court clerk, county attorney, PVA, county clerk, and county sheriff. Deposits and investments. The government's fund balance is considered to be cash on hand. Demand deposits, certificates of deposit, and short-term investments with original maturities of 3 months or less from the date of acquisition. The government's fund balance includes cash and cash equivalents and investments. This statute authorizes the county to invest in obligations of the United States and of its agencies and instrumentalities, obligations and contracts for future delivery or purchase of obligations, backed by the full faith and credit of the United States, obligations of any corporation of the United States government, bonds or certificates. Okay, blah, 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 blah. The fund financial statement recognizes bond interest as well as bond issuance costs. All right. And I think this is just saying, that they're required to maintain receipts and all that good stuff. The table below shows the interfund operating transfers for fiscal year 2023. And then it's just got a whole bunch more numbers and the funds showing the transfers, the total transfers out. Custodial fund. Only those resources held in a trust or custodial capacity for individuals, private organizations, or other governments in accordance with the regulatory basis of accounting. Custodial funds are not presented on the financial statement. Jail inmate fund. This fund accounts for funds received from the inmates. The balance in the jail inmate fund as of June 30th was $2,476. All right. On September 28th, 2016, the fiscal court entered into a lease agreement for a billboard rental at Isom Baseball Park. The lease is for 10 years, and the fiscal court will receive an annual payment of $1,000. The Letcher County Fiscal Court recognized $1,000 in lease revenue during the current fiscal year related to this lease. As of June 30th, the fiscal court's receivable for this lease payment was $4,000. All right. This, they entered into an agreement, a lease agreement for the use of a building for a local community committee to use for events. The lease is renewed annually, and the fiscal court will receive an annual payment of $12. The Letcher County Fiscal Court recognized $12 in lease revenue during the current fiscal year related to this lease. Wow. I wonder who the community committee is. Should tell us. Here they've entered into a lease agreement for the use of a recycling center and compressor site. The lease is active indefinitely if the compressor site is being utilized for the transportation of natural gas. The fiscal court will receive an annual payment of $2,500. The Letcher County Fiscal Court recognized $2,500 in lease revenue during the current fiscal year related to this lease. Their receivable for this lease was $2,500. Doesn't sound like they're making much money on these leases, does it? Entered into an agreement for the use of a building to be local general store. The lease is for 10 years, and the fiscal court will receive a monthly payment of $200 for year one, $250 for year two, $400. Sorry, that was my son. $400 for year three, and $500 for year four, and $500 for years 5 through 10. The Letcher County Fiscal Court recognized $2,400 in lease revenue during the current fiscal year. That's a whole year? The Letcher Fiscal Court's receivable for this lease payment was $43,000. That must be, they must be on the back end of that then. They entered into a lease agreement for the use of a hangar for an air ambulance helicopter located in the Gateway Regional Park and will be operated from that location on a 24-hour basis, 7 days a week. The lease is for 5 years and will be renewed and extended every 5 years. The fiscal court will receive a monthly payment of $750. The Letcher County Fiscal Court recognized $9,000 in lease revenue during the current fiscal year related to this lease. That's not much either. I mean, I know that having a air ambulance helicopter is pretty important, but they sure make a lot of money on those, don't they? That just kind of seems low to me. Am I the only one? Let me get over here and read some of these comments. What do you all think? Those so far. Let's see. I'm leaving it to you mods to kind of run the... Hey, y'all, not to be that girl, but I kind of am that girl. Don't forget to show some love to... Oh, yes, to that like button and subscribe. Thank you. I say they got a lot of grants and stuff when they had that flood. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, you know, there was a lot of churches and groups, organizations that came in and redid people's homes and did a lot of work. A lot of volunteer labor went into all that. It was really a lot. Okay. In January 1999, oh yeah, so the dates. $43,000, and this was just done on 2022. Okay, I'll just have to keep that in my mind when we get down here. Court began leasing space in the courthouse to the Administrative Office of the Courts, the AOC. The lease is for 2-year periods. On July 1st of each even-numbered year, the lease may be renewed by AOC for another biennial period of 2 years. The lease renewal shall automatically renew itself on July 1st of each even-numbered year unless written notice of AOC's election not to exercise the renewal option for the succeeding year by given at least 60 days prior to the renewal date thereof. But it didn't say how much they rented it or that they leased it for. All right. On the flood relief, the fiscal court entered into a lease agreement 2022 for $300,000 with the Kentucky Association of Counties Leasing Trust. The purpose of this lease is to provide financial assistance for flood-related expenses. The term of this agreement shall be from the date of closing through August 2023, with no principal component or interest component collected, nor will any interest accrue. In case of default, that's probably not. In any other event which causes lesser in good faith to deem itself insecure. As of June 30th, 2023, the principal balance outstanding was $300,000. Future principal and interest payment requirements are 2024. $300,000, $11,000 in interest. Flood relief on October 19th. Entered into a tax and revenue anticipation note agreement in the amount of $1 million with the Kentucky Association of Counties and Magnolia Bank. The purpose of this note is to provide financing for the cumulative cash deficit due to flood emergency. The agreement required monthly interest payments and one principal payment. The principal amount of $1 million was paid on June 19th, 2023, so they paid that off. Short-term debt activity. Okay. Trucks. And then let's see. The Letcher County Fiscal Court entered into a lease agreement in the amount of $145,000 with the Kentucky Association, same people, for the purchase of 2 trucks. The lease agreement requires monthly interest payments and one principal payment. In the event of default, the lessor has the right to terminate the lease term and give notice to vacate the property. The principal balance was paid off during the fiscal year 2023. So they paid that off. And here's some more about the trucks. 2022, they entered into an agreement for $171,000, pretty much $172,000, with the same people for the purchase of a truck, almost $200,000. The lease agreement requires monthly interest payments and one principal payment. The principal balance remaining on this lease is $171,000, so they've not paid anything on that yet. Or at the time of this. So remember, this was over the 2023 year. So the one for this past year isn't out yet, I don't think. In 2008, they entered $500,000 for the construction of a recreation center. I've heard so much about that rec center. The lease requires monthly interest payments at a variable rate and annual principal payments. As of June 30th, 2023, the principal balance remaining was $312,000. In the event of default, the lease will be enforced by appropriate court action. You mean that's all that's been paid on it the entire time it's been down there? 2024. 17,000, 2025, 18,000, 2026, 2034 to 2037. Wow. Direct borrowings, rec center. 2021, the fiscal court entered into an $885,000 lease agreement with those same people to refinance the lease agreement, and it was only $500,000 at the beginning, and now they redid it for $885,000, refinanced it. Under the previously noted financing program revenue bonds, let's see, for the construction of a recreation center, the lease requires monthly principal and interest payments ending in 2026. In the event of default, the lease agreement will be enforced by appropriate court action. As of 2023, the principal balance remaining was $462,500. Future principal and interest payment requirements are, wow, look there. Wow. Courthouse and Detention Center. On August 2013, the fiscal court entered into a $3,140,000 lease agreement related to the same people, the program revenue bonds. The proceeds retired the outstanding balance of the Letcher County Public Properties Corporation, which has been issued to renovate the courthouse and detention center. The administrative office, that was in 2013, and our jail is in the as bad a shape as what it's in. The county, let's see, AOC rents a portion of the premises for office space. It never did say how much they rented it for, though, or at least I might have missed it. The AOC has agreed to pay rent directly to the bond trustee. The county is reliant on the AOC payment in order to meet a portion of the bond debt service requirement. AOC has expressed its intention to continue to make their payment on each successive biennial budget period until May of 2027. But AOC is not legally obligated to do so. In the event of default, the lease agreement may be enforced by appropriate legal action. As of 2023, the principal balance remaining is $1,040,000. And then here's the remaining recreation center refinance. September 2016, they were $6,030,000 lease agreement related to, it's the same people. The purpose of this debt was to refinance a portion of the bonds to reduce the combined debt payments. The lease requires monthly principal and interest payments ending December 2040. In the event of default, the lease agreement may be enforced by appropriate legal action. As of 2023, the principal balance remaining was $5,632,000. So they'd only paid $400,000 on it, a roundabout. And then here's the future payments. Voting machines. 2021, they entered into for new voting machines for the Letcher County clerk. The lease requires monthly principal and interest payments ending 2026. As of 2023, the principal balance remaining was $77,000. And there's the future payments for that. Letcher County notes to financial statement. FEMA. Fiscal court entered into a lease agreement in the $5 million with the same people. Man, we got a lot of debt, y'all. The purpose of this lease is to provide financial assistance for flood-related expenses. The lease agreement requires monthly interest payments at an 0.15% rate and one principal payment. In case of default, lessee fails to pay when due any of the payments or to perform or rectify a breach of as of June 2023, the principal balance outstanding is still $5 million. Future principal and interest payment requirements are, so they don't have to pay anything for 2024, but the interest is $408,000. What? 2025 is when it's due? $5 million? Long-term debt activity for the year ended 2023, direct borrowings and direct placements. Long-term debt, additions, reductions, ending balance due within 1 year. Debt schedule. The amount of required principal and interest payments were as follows. Fiscal year ended, direct borrowings and direct placements, principal, interest. So they owed $12.7 million, just about. And then their interest, almost 3.1 million. Employee retirement system, effective April 2021, to provide staffing and daily administrative needs for CERS in Kentucky, pension plans. The county's contribution for 2021 was $510,494. 2022, $569,780. For 2023, $545,080. Non-hazardous covered employees who begin participation after 2008 are required to contribute 6% of their salary to be allocated as follows. 5% will go to the member's account and 1% will go to the Kentucky Retirement System's insurance fund. All right. Let's see. The cash balance plan is known as a hybrid plan because it has characteristics of both a defined benefit plan and a defined contribution plan. I think this is just telling us about how their employee insurance works. Benefits fully vest on reaching 5 years of service for non-hazardous employees. Well, we just want to see the money. The county's contribution rate for non-hazardous employees was 26.79%. And then they're telling the insurance for the hazardous employees. Employee retirement system. All right, so here's how their insurance works. Years of service, 20 years or more, they're 100% paid by the insurance fund for members participating prior to 2003. 15 to 19, 75%, 10 to 14, 50%, 4 to 9, 25%, less than 4 is nothing. Percentage paid by member through payroll deduction. All right, so that's telling their benefits. Health insurance. Once members reach a minimum vesting period of 15 years, they earn $15 per month for insurance benefits at retirement for every year of earned service, without regard to a maximum dollar amount. This dollar amount is subject to adjustment annually by 1.5%. Okay, I'm not really worried about their insurance and their benefits, but no COLA is given unless authorized by the legislature. Death benefit. If a retired member is receiving a monthly benefit based on at least 48 months of service, they'll pay a $5,000 death benefit payment to the beneficiary. designed by the member specifically for this benefit. Members with multiple accounts are entitled to only one death benefit. So at least they give them some life insurance. Annual financial report. Issues a publicly available annual financial report that includes financial statements and required supplementary information on CERS. That's just about the thing. Deferred compensation. So that's still about the employees. Their payroll revolving account, the reconciled balance of the payroll revolving account as of June 2023 was added to the general fund cash balance for financial reporting purposes. Now, see, when you start having all of these different things and you don't know what they're for, your brain kind of just turns into mush, and you can't really, it's hard to follow and it's hard to understand. Well, eventually people just kind of get frustrated and give up, and their eyes hurt, their brain hurts trying to understand all this stuff. And then, they no longer ask any more questions. All right. Let me get down here. I'm just going to go right on through these, and we're going to get to what the report says. All right. Do it this way. And see, this is all of these here are like the horse trail fund. I guess I should go back up. I shouldn't do that because this is where the money is, y'all. We want to follow the money. Well, this is where it's at. Jail fund. There's the receipts. And they have to, so they're supposed to be telling us how much they spent and where this money is. Okay. All right. The general fund. And this gives us kind of the totals here. The road fund. So they budgeted amounts. 5,000, 5,000, intergovernmental, actual amounts, budgetary basis, variance with final budget positive, negative. Let's see. You've got in lieu tax payments, intergovernmental, miscellaneous, interest, and total receipts. Disbursements. All right. Jail fund. $850,700. Actual amounts. $513,093. Charges for services, $75,000. Miscellaneous, $85,000. Variance with final budget, positive. And positive is not in parentheses, and negative is in parentheses. So it looks like they're negative $337,000. And then you add in these here, and it's a negative $312,347. My dog's been real sick. Disbursements, protection to persons and property. Hang on, y'all. Let me go check on my dog. Are you okay? Okay. I had one of my dogs start coughing a few days ago, and then Bella started coughing yesterday. So I called the vet this morning, and I went up there and got them some medicine. They say they think they have a respiratory thing that they've passed to each other. Here, come on, get down. All right. Come on. Come on. Leave her in here till I get done. I'll be done in a minute. Sorry, y'all. Yeah, me too. Me too. It's all right. They're both sick. They're not gonna. It happened so fast, like in 2 days. And Bella's a pit bull. They said at the vet that purebreds, their immune systems aren't as good as mutts. And so, yeah, she had something stuck, phlegm or something in her throat. She got it up. Hopefully the antibiotics will kick in. Or I'll be taking her to the vet in the morning. Sorry, it made me real nervous. I get all tore up when my babies are sick. All right, transfers from other funds. And there you've got total other adjustments to cash. Look at her. Cash uses, that's a negative $120,000. Disbursements, that's a positive $266,000. And this is the variance column, right? This is the actual amounts. This is what they budgeted. This over here, the original and the final, this is what they budgeted for the beginning of the year. And this over here is what they're showing actually happened, right? And so their total receipts, they were in the negative for $312,000. A positive of $266,000 for protection to persons and property. Administration, a positive $189,000. All right. Excess deficiency of receipts. Other adjustments to cash, negative $120,000. Fund balance ending, positive $23,000. Okay. And then here you've got their local government economic assistance fund. So they budgeted for almost $2 million. Their actual amounts was over $2 million, but they were a negative of $86,000. Here, the variance is a positive 782,000 in total disbursements. Adjustments to cash, the uses, the variance was a positive 695,000. Other adjustments to cash, uses, transfers to other funds. Look at our negative 120,000. But that was budgeted? I don't understand that. So the fund balance ending was a positive $812. The EK Safe Fund, it's a negative 248,000 is the variance. Budgeted amounts. Total disbursements. You've got road, debt service, administration. Fund balance ending is a positive $1,084, and it was budgeted for $0. See, that's what I mean. It's hard to understand. It's very difficult to understand what they've done and what they're doing. So let me get down here. Forestry fund, the flood loan fund. Okay, so this is budgeted amounts, original, final, actual amounts, variance, transfers to other funds, a negative $1 million. That's going to come up here in a second again. Senior Citizens Fund. Is that just $1? I wonder what the 1 stands for. I don't really get that. The Horse Trail Fund, $40,000. So they must have had a $40,000 grant or something for that. That's what it looks like. And then you've got, what's this? The Tourism Martin Van Bates Fund. I'd say that's probably a grant. $7,000. Police Memorial Fund, $1,300. That's probably some sort of a grant. Clerk Storage Fees Fund. All right, so they had a positive of 5,029. Disaster Relief Fund, I'd say that's a grant, 12,000. American Rescue, a positive 1,683,081. Former City of Blackie Fund. I'm not sure where that money comes from. I know it told us, but I wasn't really paying attention to that one. But it was a positive $53,317 balance. Local Assistant and Tribal Consistency Fund says 15. I'm not really sure what that is, what that means. And then you've got 50,000 down here. So you've got 50,000, $15. Does that mean they didn't spend that? I don't know. National Opioid Settlement Fund. So here you've got a bunch of 86s, and then it turns into 280,000. So that must have been how much the county got for that. But if you remember, Neon got a chunk, Jenkins got a chunk, Whitesburg got a chunk. So I'm not sure how that ended up. Was it given to the county and then the county dispersed it? I don't think so. But because they were just down there at Whitesburg asking for Whitesburg's money after they had gotten Neon's money. And I think it was Jenkins, but I'm not sure. For the Hill organization, because they're going to train our law enforcement on opioids. I think I just want to say that. Other adjustments to cash. $1 million for the buyout fund. So there are 1 million positive, 304 for the buyout fund. Budgetary information. The judge executive is required to submit estimated receipts and proposed disbursements. Reconciliation of the general fund. Other adjustments to cash uses, budgetary basis, $89,000. To adjust for payroll revolving account, $157,000. To adjust for the retirement revolving account, $30,000. Total intergovernmental regulatory basis, $277,000. Ending fund balance, $707,000. The COVID Relief Fund administration line item exceeded budgeted appropriations by $77. Road Fund. The road fund final budget was out of balance by $1. Hang on. Federal grantor, pass-through grantor, program or cluster title, Department of Treasury, local funds, federal assistance, 21. Total federal expenditures, okay, $1,857,000. Homeland Security, disaster grants, public assistance, presidentially declared disasters, $2,380,000 total. Mama Duck, this is an audit report. Yes, not the budget or CAFR. Yes, this is the budget report. Thank you, Mama Duck. I'm sorry, y'all. I was reading everything else. Oh, thank you, Miss Crystal. Bless you, bless you, bless you, honey. Thank you so much. You are our stream sponsor for the day. Let me get this over here. Miss Crystal C. Thank you. Bless you, bless you, bless you. Yes, so this is the report that they did, that the state did on the budget that our fiscal court gave them or put together. You know, our fiscal court, that's what their duty is. And their job is to, as a whole, as an elected body, it's their job to handle all of this money. And they have it's all those people that I've named that was listed at the top. And this audit report is when they went through and looked at all of their budgeting and they went through and looked at everything, then they put this report together based off of what our fiscal court provided. And so here, let me get on down here. Basis of presentation, because it explains this. It explains what they did for the report. Let's see, basis of presentation. Schedule includes the federal award activity of Letcher County, Kentucky under programs. Okay, that's just telling us the programs. Expenditures reported on the schedule are reported on the basis of the accounting practices prescribed or permitted. Okay. Letcher County. I told you it's a lot. It's really a lot. And that's where, like I said, waste, fraud, and abuse is most easily hidden. Land and land improvements. So there's all their monies for that. Buildings, vehicles, equipment, infrastructure. Beginning balance, $27,000. And the ending balance was over $28,000. Capital assets. Let's see, capitalization threshold. Report on internal control over finance reporting and on compliance and other matters based on an audit of the financial statement performed in accordance with the auditing standards. All right, this might be. We have audited it. And the related notes to the financial statement, which collectively comprise, have issued our report, and they issued this April 9th, 2024. So we won't see the one from last year until around about that same time. So we'll look for it in April 2025. In planning and performing our audit, we considered the Letcher County Fiscal Court's internal control over financial reporting as a basis for designing audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances for the purpose of expressing our opinion on the financial statement, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the Letcher County Fiscal Court's internal control. Accordingly, we do not express an opinion on the effectiveness of the Letcher County Fiscal Court's internal control. They make sure they cover their butts too. Our consideration of internal control over financial reporting was for the limited purpose described in the preceding paragraph and was not designed to identify all deficiencies in internal control over financial reporting that might be material weaknesses or significant deficiencies. And therefore, material weaknesses or significant deficiencies may exist that have not been identified. This is really important. This is where I left off last night. However, as described in the accompanying schedule of findings and questioned costs, we identified certain deficiencies in internal control that we consider to be material weaknesses. A deficiency in internal control exists when the design or operation of a control does not allow management or employees in the normal course of performing their assigned functions to prevent or detect and correct misstatements on a timely basis. A material weakness is a deficiency or a combination of deficiencies in internal control, such that there is a reasonable possibility that a material misstatement of the entity's financial statement will not be prevented or detected and corrected on a timely basis. We consider the deficiencies described in the accompanying schedule of findings and facts to be material weaknesses, and they've counted them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are the 5 areas that we read just a few minutes ago. Report on compliance and other matters. As part of obtaining reasonable assurance about whether the Letcher Fiscal Court's financial statement is free of material misstatement, we perform tests of its compliance with certain provisions of laws, regulations, contracts, grant agreements, non-compliance with which could have a direct and material effect on the financial statement. However, providing an opinion on compliance with those provisions was not an objective of our audit, and accordingly, we do not express such an opinion. The results of our tests disclosed instances of non-compliance or other matters that are required to be reported under government auditing standards and which are described in the accompanying schedule as items 2 and 5. Views of responsible officials and planned corrective action. Government auditing standards requires the auditor to perform limited procedures on the county's response to the findings identified in our audit and described in the accompanying schedule. The county's response was not subjected to the auditing procedures applied in the audit of the statement, and accordingly, we express no opinion on it. The purpose of this report is solely to describe the scope of our testing of internal control and compliance and the results of that testing, and not to provide an opinion on the effectiveness of the entity's internal control or on compliance. This report is an integral part of an audit performed in accordance with the standards. All right. So they're pretty much saying, we went over this, and here's what we think, what we've identified as problems, but we don't have no opinion on it. Is basically what they're saying. Here's the problems that we found, though, that we just don't have no opinion on it. We ain't got there yet. All right. To report on compliance for each major federal program. We have audited the compliance with the types of compliance requirements identified. Federal programs are identified. Let's see. In our opinion, the fiscal court complied in all material respects with the compliance requirements referred to above. All right. Basis for our opinion, I think it's just saying that they complied with everything. Management is responsible for the compliance. Implementation. Okay. Auditors' responsibilities for the audit of compliance. In performing an audit, guidance, we exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit. Identify and assess the risks of material noncompliance, whether due to fraud or error, and design and perform audit procedures responsive to those risks. Such procedures include examining on a test basis evidence regarding Letcher County Fiscal Court's compliance referred to above, and performing such other procedures as we considered necessary in the circumstances. That's still a big old bunch of mumbo jumbo. Report a deficiency in internal control over compliance exists when the design or operation of a control over compliance does not allow management or employees in the normal course of performing their assigned functions to prevent or detect and correct noncompliance with a type of compliance requirement. So they're basically just letting us know this is what this means. And, all right, report on internal control. Our consideration of internal control over compliance was for the limited purpose described in the auditor's responsibilities and was not designed to identify all deficiencies in internal control. So what they're saying is we've identified these are the ones that we have identified, but this audit was not designed to identify all that exist. So they're pretty much telling us that there might be several other things in here that they did not catch, that they didn't find, because the scope of what they were looking at was limited, right? Our audit was not designed for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness. So they're going to say that on each one of them. Let's see. Summary of auditor's results, the financial statement. Type of report the auditor issued on whether the financial statement audited was prepared. Okay. Were any material weaknesses identified? Yes. Are any significant deficiencies identified? None reported. That's it's a big distinction between no and none reported. Are any non-compliances materials to financial statements noted? Yes. Are there any material weaknesses identified? This was federal awards. No, none reported. Identification of major programs. All right. Okay, here we go. This is the first one. So this is number 1, and it's going to give us the thing. The Letcher County Fiscal Court's financial statement was materially misstated. The Letcher County Fiscal Court's financial statement was materially misstated. Sorry. The county treasurer deposited loan proceeds of $1 million for the flood loan fund into the clerk storage fees fund in error. The error was discovered and the funds were transferred to the correct fund. However, the financial statement shows the $1 million as a receipt of the clerk storage fees fund. That's a big deal, y'all. The county treasurer was unaware that the deposit into the wrong fund should not have been recorded on the financial statement and should have been recorded in the fund that they were intended. As a result, the receipts for the clerk storage fees fund were overstated by $1 million. Effective internal controls require that any deposit error would not be included on the financial statement. We recommend the fiscal court implement internal controls over receipts and deposits by ensuring that funds are deposited into the correct account and any errors or mistakes are not presented on the financial statement. Views of responsible official and planned corrective action. County Judge Executive's response. This is Terry Adams. When electronic deposits are made in the wrong fund, we will not post in the account the funds were erroneously placed in. That was his response. Number 2, the Letcher County Fiscal Court did not have adequate controls over processing and recording withholdings. The Letcher County Fiscal Court's internal controls over processing and recording withholdings were not operating effectively, as noted by the following deficiencies. The county treasurer failed to submit federal tax withholding forms for a fee official from July 2022 through October 2022. 23 of the 40 federal tax withholding payments were paid at a minimum of 30 days late. State withholdings were only paid for 17 of the 26 pay periods. State withholdings were paid on 3 separate dates. The county treasurer submitted 4 payments on September 6th, 2022, 5 payments on November 5th, 2022, and 8 payments on April 4th, 2023. The county treasurer failed to disperse city payroll taxes for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023. This resulted in an ending balance of $12,847 due to the city of Whitesburg. The above deficiencies occurred as a result of internal controls over payroll withholdings not being designed and or operating effectively. The lack of good internal controls over payroll could allow employees to be under or overpaid. In addition, the Letcher Fiscal Court is not in compliance with Kentucky revised statutes and the U.S. Department of Labor regulations. Strong internal controls over the payroll process are essential in ensuring that employee withholdings and employer contributions are turned over to the appropriate taxing authorities and vendors. In addition, Publication 15, Employer's Tax Guide, issued by the IRS, require employers who are semi-weekly scheduled depositors to deposit federal taxes accumulated on taxes for payroll paid on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday by the following Wednesday, and federal taxes accumulated on taxes for payroll paid on Monday or Tuesday by the following Friday. I know that's kind of confusing, but if you're elected and you hold these jobs, these positions, then you should be doing your job. These are just, and this is not just one person's problem. Oh, no. The Letcher County Fiscal Court did not have adequate controls over processing and recording withholdings. Continued. Alan, we recommend the fiscal court implement internal controls over payroll liabilities. Internal controls such as a thorough review of payroll earnings records should be performed by an individual independent of the payroll process, and comparison of amounts due to amounts paid. Once completed, the review should be signed by the individual performing the review and submitted to the county judge executive and the fiscal court. Views of responsible, official, and planned corrective action. County Judge Terry Adams' response: all withholdings will be made timely. Okay, thanks for saying that. They were supposed to be made timely beforehand, but okay. Number 3, the Letcher County Fiscal Court lacks adequate segregation of duties over receipts and reconciliations. This is a biggie. This is a repeat finding and was included in the prior year audit report. I'd like to we'll get the 2022 audit report too. This was included in the prior year audit report as finding number 5. The Letcher County Fiscal Court does not have adequate segregation of duties over receipts and reconciliations. The county treasurer is responsible for receiving receipts, preparing deposits, taking deposits to the bank, posting receipts to the ledgers, preparing financial reports, and reconciling bank accounts. There is no documented review of these processes. And remember, every one of these people get paid. They get paid well for their jobs. This is not a voluntary position. They're being paid. According to the county, this is the result of a limited budget, which restricts the number of employees the fiscal court can hire. When faced with a limited number of staff, strong compensating controls should have been implemented to offset the lack of segregation of duties. You can't have the police investigating the police type thing, I forget. I was going to say something, but it sounds stupid in my head, so I know I've got it wrong. The lack of oversight could result in undetected misappropriation of assets and or inaccurate financial reporting to external agencies such as the Department for Local Government. So it's saying because there is such a lack of oversight, this could result in the misappropriation of money to completely go undetected. There's no way for anybody to find it. Segregation of duties because they didn't document any of these processes. See there? There's no documented review of these processes. So how can we go back and look and make sure that there was no funny stuff going on We don't have nothing to look at. And you've got the same people doing the same things that they shouldn't be doing. Like they need a segregation of duties. Different people need to be doing these duties. So that way you don't have such a high risk of funny stuff. Segregation of duties over various accounting functions such as opening mail, collecting receipts, preparing bank deposits, preparing reports and reconciliations, or the implementation of compensating controls when needed because the number of staff is limited. We don't have enough people working. Is essential for providing protection from asset misappropriation and inaccurate financial reporting. Additionally, proper segregation of duties protects employees in the normal course of performing their daily responsibilities. That's also going to protect those employees and those people that have these jobs. We recommend the fiscal court separate duties involving receipt processing. If this is not feasible due to a limited budget, strong oversight over these areas should occur and involve an employee that is not currently performing any of those functions. Duh. This oversight should be documented by dating, signing, or initialing the documentation. Views of responsible official. So what does Terry Adams say in his response? An extra person will be appointed by Judge Adams to review receipts and reconciliations. Okay. Thanks. Appreciate that. The Letcher County Fiscal Court does not have strong internal controls over disbursements. No documented county employee verified the majority of haul tickets for delivery of road materials. No documented county employee verified the haul tickets. 12 instances where invoices were not paid 30 working days of receipt. 2 transactions did not have purchase orders as required by the county's policies and procedures and DLG requirements. 56 transactions had purchase orders that were approved and created after the payment date. 56 transactions, they went back and made 56 transactions had purchase orders that were approved and created after the payment date. Do y'all hear that? Interest charged on credit card statements totaling $112. 3 credit card purchases that were charged sales tax totaling $63. 7 missing credit card receipts that were not turned in for payment, resulting in credit card statement having a previous balance. 6 disbursements that were missing a total of 328 haul tickets, documenting delivery of road materials. That's a lot, y'all. 1 instance of a disbursement that was not included on the claims list presented to the fiscal court for approval. Internal controls were not sufficient enough to ensure the proper handling of disbursements, which allowed for the deficiencies to happen. When invoices were paid for road materials, haul tickets documenting delivery were not reconciled with the invoice. Furthermore, monthly credit card statements were not reconciled with receipts to ensure all receipts had been turned in for payment. As a result, the county was not in compliance with applicable statutes. Further, lack of strong internal controls over disbursements could result in inaccurate reporting and misappropriation of assets. Proper internal controls over expenditures are important to ensure purchase orders are created with sufficient funds available, include proper supporting documentation, and are paid in a timely manner. This particular statute gives the state local finance officer the authority to prescribe a uniform system of accounts. per the county budget preparation and state local finance officer policy manual issued by the department, purchases shall not be made prior to approval by the county judge executive or designee or department head. So it tells you right there in the manual that what they did was not allowed. And would they say it happened 12 times or something like that? Oh, 56 times. Not 12, 56. This statute, unless the purchaser and vendor otherwise contract, all bills for goods or services shall be paid within 30 working days of receipt of a vendor's invoice, except when payment is delayed because the purchaser has made a written disapproval of improper performances or improper invoicing by the vendor or by the vendor's subcontractor. Good controls dictate that procedures be in place to ensure invoices are paid within 30 days of receipt and sales tax is not paid on the invoice due to the fiscal court being exempt from paying sales tax on purchases. We recommend the fiscal court implement proper internal controls over expenditures and ensure they are operating effectively. Views of responsible official. What was Terry Adams's response? At the beginning of this fiscal year, Letcher County suffered a catastrophic flood. During the first few weeks of that flood, supplies were going to locations all over the county. In the aftermath of such a disaster, there were hundreds of people involved in recovery, so some of the hall tickets, etc., were not signed and turned in to the finance officer timely. Under normal circumstances, we follow proper procedures. Okay, well, I'm not going to be a butt about it. I understand that. All right. The Letcher County Fiscal Court does not have strong internal controls over disbursements continued. The auditor's reply. The APA recognizes the difficulties that occurred during the catastrophic disaster in Letcher County. These findings are based on testing, adopted policies, and procedures. The auditor's office is sympathetic to the events that occurred in Letcher County and understands this behavior may not reflect normal practices of the court. Number 5, the Letcher County Fiscal Court does not have adequate procedures for reporting county liabilities. The Letcher County Fiscal Court did not report outstanding interest payments correctly for long-term liabilities related to debt service payments. The interest balances on all 7 debts were not reported correctly, resulting in liabilities being overstated by $2,223,088 for interest balances due as of June 30th, 2023. See, if one number's wrong, it messes the whole thing up. That's why budgets are so hard. They're very, very hard. Like, you really got to know what you're doing. No, not just any old dummy can go in there and do all this stuff. The fiscal court does not have controls in place to ensure balances were reported properly. Some of the differences in the principal and the interest balances are likely due to posting errors in prior years. The software used by the fiscal court calculates the balances for principal and interest based upon when debt service payments are issued. If the debt service payments were misclassified when issued, then the balances would not calculate properly. This has resulted in the misstatement of county liabilities, making it difficult for management to easily determine where the county's debt balances stand. And allows for waste, fraud, and abuse. This statute gives the state local finance officer the authority to prescribe a uniform system of accounts. The county budget preparation and state local finance officer policy manual requires officials to report all liabilities of the county, even when related to unbudgeted funds. The schedules should be reported with correct balances. Control procedures should be in place with the fiscal court to ensure that all liabilities held at fiscal year end are reported on the liability schedule and have accurate ending balances. We recommend that the county improve procedures to ensure proper reporting of all county liabilities on the financial statement. What was Terry Adams' response? All proper corrections have been made on liability schedules. Wow. I mean, even when they do this, and they show all of these issues, who's the one that's making sure this is getting done? That one is a repeat ticket. They've been telling them. They told them last year. Certification of compliance, local government economics assistance, Letcher County Fiscal Court. The Letcher Fiscal Court hereby certifies that assistance received from the program was expended for the purpose intended as dictated by applicable statutes. All right, y'all. That was all of it. Sheesh. That was a lot. That was a lot, y'all. I feel like I've read and read and read. All right, let's see what people have to say about any of this. Do you all? I can't figure out how to send the song to you. It's Simple Man by Upchurch. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get off of here because my dog is really having a hard time. I think we'll be going to give her medicine again and going to the vet again in the morning. All right, y'all. Appreciate you. Peace out. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. We'll see you then, okay? Thank you all so much. But my doggy's in bad shape. All right. Be blessed. See you tomorrow. Bye.